You heard Rip City say it. They thrive off of playing on their home court, and frankly, everybody does. Taking a look at this series on home wood, 4-0 straight up and against the number is the home side as we move back to Phoenix for Game 5. Home teams outscoring the visitor by more than 12 points per game. And for the Suns, in their last 10 postseason matchups in Phoenix, they're 8-2. They've outscored their opponents by a combined 90 points. Let's get into it with the best in the business. CBS NBA insider Bill Reiter by word, Kenny White, the wizard of odds, by number. Gentlemen, the pressure of the moment heightening, but the game numbers standing pat. First, taking a look at the spread, Kenny. Suns are laying 4 in Game 5. And if we're looking at historical precedent here, each of the past 5 instances, the NBA Finals series has been tied 2-2. Home team has won Game 5. That dates all the way back to 2006. Kenny, what do you want to do with that 4 here in Game 5?
Well, looking at these two teams and watching the first 4 games and trying to evaluate the talent on both teams and having my power ratings coming in the beginning of from the year, adjusting every day to the end of the year, these are very equal basketball teams. So how much are you going to give for home court? So, odds makers, line makers, very conservative on home court values, and 4.5 is probably an average NBA home court, but both these two courts aren't average. Now, I've been on the Bucks the entire time, but again, it's all about the numbers for me. I'm taking the Bucks here in this one just on the fact that I've been on them the entire time, but I think the number is just about right, and I could even argue that the Suns should be 4.5 or 5. These were 2 of the 3 best teams the entire season on their home court, and that was with no fans basically 90% of the time. Now with the fans out there, these home courts are worth 6 points each. So if its true value is 6 points, the Lions saying the Bucks are a 2-point better basketball team. I do have them rated 2 points better, but I give 6 points. I think the number should be 4, but I'm giving you a play on the Bucks plus 4 because I like this basketball team. I like how they're playing. I think there could be some pressure on the Suns right now.
All right, Kenny White digging into the numbers there. He is playing the Bucks here in Game 5, taking those 4 points. Bill, when we look at the narrative structure of this series, much like the Bucks had to in Game 3, the Suns are now tasked with regaining momentum as they move home. Nothing's set in stone. Nothing is assumed because of what the Bucks have been able to do over the last 2 games. Are you confident that the Suns can not only take that momentum back, but to the tune of 5 points if we want to win it?
Confidence might not be the word. I'm with Kenny. I think it's going to be a really close margin, and I think the Suns are going to win. I think the right bet is Suns -4. That's the pick that I'm making for a few reasons. One, the Bucks shot 40% from the field in Game 4. You're not supposed to win games where you do that. Being at home helped. They had a serious free throw advantage. And I'm a skeptic on Chris Middleton having the kind of games on the road we've seen him have at home, especially the last couple of games. Now, I'm personally actually on Milwaukee +4 because it's a sort of middle for me on a futures ticket. I have the Suns to win the whole thing. But if I was betting this in a vacuum, I would either pass on this game or I bet Suns -4, and Kenny hit on it. These teams, each of these teams are great at home. DeAndre Ayton's not going to have, I don't think, the trouble he had in Game 3 where he's in foul trouble early, and I think Devin Booker is going to get to play down the stretch in the fourth quarter for the same reasons. Not that the foul calls weren't legitimate, you're just probably not going to be in that situation at home. When you're the home team, I think it gives Phoenix a little bit of an edge.
All right, so Bill is playing Phoenix -4, but also does have a Bucks ticket because who doesn't love an insurance policy at this point of the season? Guys, taking a stab here at the total. Down a couple points off of our previous matchups. 218.5 is the number. Total average points across the series just north of 220. Kenny, where did you set your number for this Game 5 matchup?
Yeah, the deeper I get into playoff series, from the beginning and over the last 20 years, Game 1 is usually about 5 points lower than the average the teams play during the season. Game 2 is usually 6 points lower. Then Game 3 is 7 points lower. Game 4 is 8 points lower. Game 5 gets to be 10 points lower than what you normally would make in the regular season. And that's because familiarity. These teams know each other now. There's nothing new you're going to throw at each other. The defenses get more knowledge. The defenses get better. The crowds get into it defensively. So my number's been adjusted 10 points from the beginning of the series down now. I'm down to 215 right now. It's a very slim margin. But I'll tell you what, Joe, first quarter under 4-0 so far. So both these teams do come out slow early on in these games. The defense comes revved up. So I think under in the first quarter, under 218 in the game.
All right, so maybe playing that first quarter under. If you can get the first half under, maybe play the third quarter over, and the game total under. We'll see how many different ways we could win on this one. As we take a look at the pace of the game, Bill, 17 turnovers for the Suns in Game 4. It's a lot of empty possessions if we're looking at this total setting at 218.5. How do you want to play it?
It really is. By the way, Kenny, every time that we're on together sells me on a bet. I'm literally, as soon as we get done, I'm going first quarter under. I think you said it. I don't know if Chris Paul is going to be as dynamic in this game as he was in games 1 and 2. But I do know Chris Paul. I know he's going to protect the basketball. That's going to be a key part of what he's trying to adjust to and a key part of what this Suns team is going to do. And I do think Monty Williams will make an adjustment to the adjustment Mike Budenholzer has made. Chris Paul has been a different player because they've guarded him differently over the last few games. I think we're going to see some ways they can free up CP3 a little bit. All of which is to say, I like the slight over. I think you're going to see this Suns offense be a lot more impressive, protect the basketball, not have some of those empty possessions. I think Giannis is going to have a big night, but it's a close call. I mean, it's almost a pass for me, but I have a small ticket on a slight level of confidence on the over.
All right, let's talk player props, guys. We got to make our money here because we've been taking advantage of them. And that advantage, actually in depth in scoring, directly linked to home court advantage. So with that said, Bill, is there a Suns player prop you're really keyed in on in this one?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm super keyed in on it, but I'm going to go Chris Paul on the under. I think it's at 8.5 assists. He's been under that number 7 of the last 9 games, and each time that he's been over, it's been by a single assist. So even if he has a really good game, he's the Chris Paul that we've seen that's been dynamic, that got the Suns here, he's not usually hitting over that number. If you believe there's going to be an under, as Kenny does, if you notice the number's gone down, as Kenny pointed out, or if you think Chris Paul's just going to struggle even a little bit, I think there's a lot of value there. So I'm on Chris Paul under the 8.5 assists. I think he has a good game, but I think he'll just be slightly under that number.
All right, Kenny, any expected bump here as the series heads back to friendlier settings for the Suns? Who's your Suns player prop play?
Yeah, you know, when I'm looking for a little bit lower scoring basketball game, and I'm trying to find an over, well, I'm hoping for some misses and some more rebounds. And DeAndre Ayton has been a beast on the boards. His median number is 17 over his last 5 games. It is 13 over his last 10 games. For the season, it was 12. But that was at a lot lower minutes than what he's playing now. I expect DeAndre Ayton to get almost close to 40 minutes here in this game. I'm expecting 15 rebounds out of him. So this was the biggest value play I thought of any of the props. DeAndre Ayton over 12.5 rebounds.
All right, I like that one as well. As for a Bucks play, we got to find somebody whose game travels or perhaps doesn't. Kenny, are you looking for a fade or a follow here when we're talking player props on Milwaukee side?
Yeah, I'm going to go fade just Chris Middleton, the amazing game he had in Game 4. And again, going through the entire playoffs, all of the games that he's played with Giannis on the court, he's 12-7 under 24.5 points. So give me 12-7 every day, Joe. We can make a lot of money going 12-7 with that type of volume. 24.5 points, and now you're going to give us even money. I really thought the books were smart. I really thought they'd bump him to 25.5 after the big game, but they didn't make that knee-jerk reaction. They left it at 24.5. They moved the money, but at least we get even money. And again, Middleton is 12-7 to the under 24.5 points in the 19 games he's played with Giannis on the court. He is on the road. It's not a big downgrade in his numbers for the entire season on the road, but it's slightly down than what his home games have been.
I mean, we dig through those box scores, and a Chris Middleton explosion, the way we saw in Game 4, often followed by just a mundane Chris Middleton game the next time around. So we'll play that one under. What about for you, Bill, on the Bucs side of things?
For the same reasons, I think Middleton is going to come back to earth. Drew Holiday doesn't need to come back to earth. He's been living there. He's been living underground. He's been awful. It is a road game for a Milwaukee team that we've talked about doesn't play as well on the road. So I like the honest. Someone's got to get buckets. Someone's got to get points. And we've seen him, especially when his team needs him or they're struggling, that he will go high volume shots. He will get in the paint. 32.5 is the number. I like the over. I think Giannis has a huge night, and there's a real chance the rest of the team does not.
Drew Holiday catching a ricochet shot there, and it's a warranted one, but we got to talk about the job he's done on the defensive end of things, shutting down Chris Paul, making things hard for him. Maybe he's giving that effort on the defensive end.
I can't win money on that as easily, but you're not wrong.
No,
He's
you
been
cannot.
good defensively.
We can win money on a big-time parlay. Kenny White, stack a few of your favorite plays up here in Game 5.
Yeah, I'm just going to use a correlated one, which I think is for me what I've given you so far. The Bucks +4 to the under 218 today. The Bucks defense, if they're going to win, it's going to be the defense. You just mentioned Drew Holiday really containing Chris Paul in this series. It's going to have to be P.J. Tucker really stepping up, putting an effort on Booker today. The entire team, and Giannis's defense has been great. Chris Middleton is an all-defensive player as well. This is one of the best defensive basketball teams in the NBA. If they're going to win today, I really think it's going to be on their defensive end. It's going to be a lower-scoring basketball game. Points are going to be a premium. It's going to be fun to watch, though. It's going to be a war. I hope this one is the first one we finally get close, and EK can say, hey, the series has started. The road team's finally won a game.
All right, so Kenny's the pro, I'm the amateur. This bet is the equivalent of me betting the hard ways and craps. I know it's not good math. It just makes me happy. Same for this one here. I'm going to go Phoenix to win. I think they will win the game, and I'm going to parlay it with Chris Paul 25 or more. I'm getting plus 333. I'm not sure it's the best bet on the face of the earth, but I want a little skin in the game that makes me excited. I want to think with my heart a little bit when I gamble. So that's the parlay, but I'm not as certain about it as some of the other bets.
All right, taking a look at the series price, guys. We pick it up just about where we found it prior to game one. Suns minus 155 favorites with home court advantage in hand. Kenny, what do the numbers tell you about the way Vegas sees this final week of the season going down?
Yeah, big adjustment. Going into the series, the Suns were $1.80 plus 150 for the Bucks, and now we're back to a three-game series, which makes the Bucks' odds of winning this much better. That's why it's down to $1.35. If you haven't bet anything on the Bucks the entire series and you like them, I would say take them. But I have to pass because I've taken plus $2, plus $2.50, plus $4.50, plus $4. I got plus $4.50 on Giannis. I actually laid $1.45 on the Suns just to, kind of get a little bit of my money back just in case the Suns do have a big game today. You don't ever want it to be a complete disaster. You want to make sports more like a stock market instead of an all or nothing bet. So if the Suns win, I lose a little bit. If the Bucks win, I win a lot.
At this point in the season and in the series, we often find ourselves trapped in a web of rooting interest. So let's just key in here once again, Bill Reiter, on this series price. Not the most inviting proposition on either side of this one, especially for a man of your ilk who's already holding tickets smattered all over the place here. So I'll ask it this way. Does Vegas have the number right in terms of the likelihood that Phoenix gets this done and in the likelihood that Milwaukee can make the comeback?
I think they do. I think the smart bet is to believe that Phoenix is going to win this series. I think they will win the series. And if for some reason you haven't bet on the series and you want to, you're not going to listen to the advice, it's too late, you should pass, you should have done this earlier. If you're itching, for me, it's a Phoenix Suns ticket. And a lot of it's all the reasons we've talked about, and home court has been critically important. It will be important. Game 7's become a little more arbitrary, but I still like the Suns in the position they're in.
Well, the MVP conversation seemingly changing with each Chris Paul turnover as of late. That's 15 turnovers over the last 3 games, guys. 5 in Game 4. Bill, we know MVP at this point of the season is often a narrative-driven award. Something's got to go right for Phoenix and specifically Chris Paul for that narrative to point his direction. Where do your eyes go right now in the MVP market?
Yeah, I don't think it's Chris. Unless you think Chris Paul's going to have another one of those 49-point games and a closeout in Game 6 or Game 7, I think it's a bad bet. I think it's Devin Booker. I know he's been every other for most of the postseason, but he is going to be the guy that goes off in a big way offensively. The narrative's going to follow him and what he's been about, the broken face in the last series. I don't think they win if Devin Booker doesn't have a 34 or 35 or 39-point night over the next 3 games if we have 3 more. And I think he will. And I think Devin Booker's going to have a huge game. I think he might have a huge game tonight. So for me, if like me, you think the Suns win this thing, Devin Booker's the MVP.
Taking a look at those numbers right there, it's truly a 3-man race with the 4th spot being occupied by Chris Middleton, a 25-1 proposition right now, Kenny White. It would have to be a couple big-time Chris Middleton games here on the road, at least in one of those instances. Do you look that direction, or is our money already made in the tickets that we're holding?
Yeah, I really looked hard at Chris Middleton thinking if he has another big outbreak, the next 3 games, he'd have to have 3 big games or 2. If the Bucks win this one and win Game 6, win the series, and Middleton goes off for 35 or more in both those games, he's winning it. But I don't see that. I think Giannis gets back on track today. I think that he'll get some baskets on the inside. I think he's going to go to the free throw line again. 18 attempts today, maybe 12 for 18 from the line. So Giannis is the guy. His points, rebounds, and assist numbers 52.5. Again, the books are expecting that out of Giannis. And if the Bucks are going to win like I think they're going to win, Giannis has got to be the MVP. So it's kind of the same price, though, right now as the series price. If you like the Bucks, you can actually get $1.35 in the series, almost more value. Talked about this after Game 2 where the Bucks were getting plus $4, Giannis was getting plus $4.50. You had a better edge betting Giannis instead of the Bucks at that time.
Here at HQ, we're lucky enough to be able to hand out co-MVPs. That's Kenny White. That's Bill Reiter. Breaking it down in anticipation of Game 5. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, let's take a look at those plays once again from Bill and Kenny. Game 5 spread, Suns favored by 4 on home wood. Kenny's taking the Bucks in line with his series play. Had it more around a 6-point advantage at home for the Suns, so 2 points baked in there on the Bucks side of things. He's thinking Vegas is saying, hey, this is a Bucks team that's 2 points better than the Suns, so he's taking those 4 points. Game 5 total, over under the 218.5. We are split there as well. Bill Reiter's on the over, Kenny White playing it under. Also take a long look at that first quarter under. Been some slow starts in these games. Series price, not the time to buy, but Bill Reiter sticking with his pick on the Suns. Kenny White is staying away. Already got his tickets in order. As for your finals MVP, it's Devin Booker for Bill. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo for Kenny White.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.